Iqbal Mohamed.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I did not know Joe Cox, and Joe Cox did not know me. But what I do know is that Joe Cox was my friend. This is a legacy we must not just honour with words, we must live in practice. Madam Deputy Speaker, this is an opportunity to remind the country that of Jo's passion, drive, her reason for being, but for why she was in this place and why she is so deeply, deeply missed. I am privileged to speak in this debate, and I thank my honourable friend, the member for Spen Valley, my predecessor, my constituency neighbour, and a wonderful continuation of Jo's work and legacy. I salute you, my friend. I was elected in 2024, so did not have the honour to work with Jo. But, and I'm not saying this to cause any offence to any member in this House, but I feel I know Joe Cox better than I do many of the members in this House today. And that's not for the want of trying. I absolutely adored the description by my honourable friend, the member for Birmingham Yardley, of Jo being quite mental. I would qualify that, not to change what she said, but she was quite good mental. There's mental and then there's mental, and she was of the good kind. But I am, having been elected as a member for Dewsbury and Batley, extremely privileged to speak in this debate, because Jo was born in Dewsbury and represented Batley and Spen, the two towns that I represent as Member of Parliament, making it a real special honour for me to be able to speak today. The values that she embodied and championed, those of tolerance, fairness and kindness, still echo powerfully across our communities. Much has rightly been made of Jo's maiden speech, where she spoke powerfully and eloquently about how we are far more united and have far more in common than that which divides us. It is an apt mission statement or a motto for this place. However, I do want to go back, having gone through Hansard, and think about what Jo says immediately before those remarks, which are now internationally recognised. Because the remarks she said just before are just as important, even if less commented upon. She talked about how, and I quote, "Batley and Spen is a gathering of typically independent, no-nonsense and proud Yorkshire towns and villages. Our communities have been deeply enhanced by immigration, be it of Irish Catholics across the constituency or Muslims from Gujarat in India or from Pakistan or Kashmir. As we look at the unsavoury scenes that have unfolded across the UK, from Belfast to Southampton in the past week, Jo's belief in the strength of diversity and in the power of connection has never been more important. Listening, respecting differences, and building bridges where others might be tempted to build walls matters today more than ever. And it matters in this place. Because as we reflect on Jo's legacy, we must be honest about the marked deterioration in the state of our public life since her heinous murder. Civility, the basic respect that underpins democratic disagreement, has been under unprecedented strain and attack in the past decade. We see it in the abuse increasingly directed at elected representatives. We see it in the growing normalization of unsavory discourse. And we see it, perhaps most pervasively and drastically, in the digital spaces that increasingly shape our national conversation. Jo understood that vehement disagreement is fundamental to any functioning democracy, but she also understood that democracy cannot function without a basic sense of humanity and a willingness to listen to the views of others in good faith. And that is why we must confront one of the defining challenges of our time, the role of big tech and social media in poisoning our social fabric. Just referring back to some of the comments that we've heard. So confronting the wider ecosystem of public commentary from prominent political figures, media personalities, and online influencers, where reckless or inflammatory language can help create the conditions for real-world harm. In the run-up to the periods of unrest in communities across our country, we have too often seen divisive narratives, misinformation, and the amplification of fear and grievance. Social media platforms have allowed such content to spread rapidly and without sufficient accountability. And why would they? Because every click, every like, every forward earns them more pounds, more dollars, and more money for their shareholders. The result is in an environment where tensions can be heightened, trust eroded, and in the worst cases, communities pitted against one another. Yesterday we heard about the violence and the riots in Belfast, where masked people, men predominantly, went around streets shouting foreigners out and going into people's homes and evicting them and setting homes on fire. This cannot be accepted, tolerated, or encouraged. So if we are to honour Jo's legacy, we must be clear that freedom of expression carries responsibility, and that those with large platforms, whether in politics, media or tech, must be held accountable for the impact of their words. Too often we've allowed these platforms to become amplifiers of anger, division and dehumanization without any restrictions. A far cry from the open, respectful dialogue that democracy depends on. The Jo Cox Foundation has rightly called for more actions to reduce online harms. But we in this House must be crystal clear. Regulation has not gone anywhere near far enough or fast enough. Algorithmic systems reward outrage over empathy. They monetize violence and incitement to violence. Abuse and disinformation spreads faster than compliments and the truth. And anonymity acts as a shield for those who seek to bully and threaten. And these companies must be brought to heel, both for the health of our younger generations and for the health of our democracy and the health of our society. There is also a deeper, more insidious link between the toxic nature of online spaces and the growing crises of loneliness in our society that Jo was such a prescient observer of. The Jo Cox Commission on Loneliness put this issue firmly on the national agenda, and its relevance has only grown since. There are now 500,000 more people experiencing chronic loneliness than before the pandemic, with young people among the most likely to feel isolated. The evidence is clear. Loneliness weakens social cohesion, reduces trust, and leaves individuals more vulnerable to political polarization and extremism. So when people feel disconnected from each other, our democracy itself becomes more fragile. Joe instinctively understood that connection more than most other parliamentarians. That is why her legacy is not just about remembrance, but about the responsibility we have in this House and the other place going forward. Responsibility to rebuild civility in our politics and to calm tensions, not inflame them, both in this House and in our wider nation. Responsibility to strengthen the social fabric of our communities, not undermine them by pitting different groups against each other. And responsibility to ensure that technologies shaping our lives serve humanity, not damage it. That means taking seriously the call for a renewed cross-government strategy on loneliness, one that recognises social connection as fundamental to physical health, mental well-being and social cohesion. But it also means going further. It means holding big tech to account for the environments they create. It means embedding safeguards against online abuse and disinformation. And it means investing in digital literacy so that the people of all ages can navigate these spaces safely and critically. Above all, it means leading by example, because every one of us in this House has a role to play in setting the tone of public debate. I promised in my maiden speech to this House and to our nation that I would not deliberately say or do anything to harm any other person. And I try and live by that principle, and I apologise to members of this House and to members of our nation if in the 23 months that I've been an MP I have failed in that promise. But I will try to do better. Because we cannot call for civility while engaging in division. We cannot demand respect while tolerating abuse. And if we are to honour Jo's memory, we must embody her values, not just invoke them. That starts with recognising, as she did, that our shared humanity is greater than our differences. And it continues with the choices we make in how we speak, how we listen, and how we treat one another. So I end by echoing the words of the Right Honourable friend that went before me. We must love like Jo, live like Jo, care like Jo, and serve like Jo. Thank you very much. Yeah.